Thank you for joining us on a Thursday night. It's a little later than we're used to, but you know what? My kids refuse to go down any earlier. So thank you for joining. Yeah, yeah, it's good to be here. Marco, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Super happy to be here and happy for everybody that's able to join us. We've got a special guest, the first ever guest on our Developers Playbook webinar series. So super excited to have him here. Welcome everybody to Developers Playbook. This is where we like to get developers, contractors, industry leaders, investors all together and just share the knowledge behind successful real estate projects and just also highlight some of our guests and what they're doing and their whys and everything in regards to their projects and their lifelong goals and why real estate specifically. So today we have somebody special here. I'll let you introduce him.
Yeah, so like the developer's playbook, it's a web series, and we structured this to give a behind the scenes look into real estate development in Canada. And it's as repeat guests know, I'm an architect. I've been designing, building real estate here for 14 plus years, and we started Biosis Real Estate as a means to build housing and get those development projects off the ground. Now, typically these kind of discussions are a mix of educational plus, that inside look into a developer's mindset and feature some of our deals. But today's presentation is a little different. It actually came about because we've been having a lot of conversations of late with contractors. In my profession, I tend to come across a lot of them, and Marco, you're doing that too with real estate development. And it's funny when you have these conversations with contractors, you see familiar themes start to pop up.
Right.
They're really good at building these companies, right? Running, drywall, painting, what manufacturing, whatever. They know how to build the businesses, but they always seem to have very little free time on their hands, but a lot of free cash. So, when we sat down with our guest today, we had this conversation of, he went from building a $3 million a year business to investing passively in real estate development. And it kind of struck us like what made our guest decide to make that switch. Well, so I'm really excited to have him here on the show. He's going to explain a bit more about that. So without further delay, let's welcome our guest, Gavin Kroeker. Gavin, nice to
Hey,
see you.
Sam.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me on your webinar here.
Awesome. Great to have you. So before we get any further, why don't you give us some background on yourself and how you got started in your journey as an entrepreneur and a real estate investor?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I kind of got started in the company about 11 years ago. I was relatively fresh out of high school. I had a couple different jobs, and I kind of kept having this feeling that I needed something more than just a job, right?
Mhm.
And so eventually an opportunity came up for me to join the family business, which is kitchen cabinetry. And I decided that even though it was a lower pay grade than where I was currently, that it had a better kind of like long-term potential, right? Growing a company as opposed to working for somebody else. And
What were
so
you
that
doing before that?
before that, I was a feeding manager at a dairy farm.
Okay. Right,
So
nice.
and they tried real hard to keep me, and they unfortunately couldn't.
Yeah, I
So
would imagine at some point you have higher views, greater goals you wanted to move into, right?
yeah, and like the biggest differentiating factor for me was time, kind of like you had mentioned, right? Because
Hmm.
with the dairy farm, I was working every other weekend, and yeah, so I joined the company back then. We were a small three-man shop, and I joined my dad and my uncle, and we just kind of did work for many years. And I kind of always knew in the back of my head that I wanted to grow the company into something more, that
Hmm.
I didn't want like everything to just freeze and stall when I go on vacation or have to leave for something or other, right? Like I wanted to build something that was bigger than just me and my family members.
Um,
So
and so it took a lot
what's
of discussions. Go ahead.
yeah. What's your company? Start with the company and what you guys
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I run Kroeker Cabinets together with my dad and my uncle. It's we do about $2.5 million a year, completing luxury kitchens. Um, we typically do somewhere between 50 and 60 projects per year. It's kind of what it averages out to. Some of them are multi hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some of them are more like 20 to $40,000 just kitchens,
So
but
we're going to
the clients want something that's just a bit more unique than a standard box store kitchen. So yeah, that's kind of our niche. Um, yeah.
And how did that company come to be? I guess was it your fa father and your uncle who started it, or did it like when did it get off the ground?
So my grandfather actually started it when in 1971. So
Wow.
we're at 55 years running this year. It was basically him and my grandmother for probably almost 30 years. Um,
Wow.
my dad joined them when I was super young, so I grew up around woodworking, but I never really thought that that would be what I do. And looking back now, I realize that's because I enjoy more of the building the business as opposed to actually doing the work, right? And so
Hmm.
that's what I've been able to kind of outlet in the company over the last number of years as we've been growing and adding staff and all that stuff.
Nice. So
Yeah.
when you joined, it was yourself, your father, your uncle. Did you have any other staff members
There was no
working?
other members for the first 5 years.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's just the three of you going to people's houses, building them these
Yep.
kitchens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And how
it was
many people are you now?
now there's 14 of us.
Wow.
So yeah. But yeah, I don't think I'd be the person I was today if it wouldn't have been like that for the first 5 years because I got to see all the different aspects of the company
Hmm.
and like sure there were frustrating times and whatnot through all of that. I think it's really caused me to grow as a person in the understanding of business and how it all functions and what you need to do and so on and so
Hmm.
forth.
Well, you got to learn your craft because it's a craft-based business, right? So
Yeah.
you got to learn the quality. And that's why many contractors, they start right at the bottom. They start as laborers pushing dirt around, getting their broomsticks out, but they're there absorbing and soaking up all that's going on around them. And then they move into more of an apprenticeship role and they start learning the trade. And from there, they get good at it and they start taking more of a leadership role and they're moving up and suddenly they're site super running multiple sites at a time and then once they're done being a site super they'll go into corporate and they'll start their own companies. These are the same conversations I'm having with framers, carpenters, concrete masons, all these trades. So would you say you kind of followed that same trajectory?
Yeah, that's very much the same. I think the only difference would be that it was a family business, so I didn't I while I started at the bottom, I was at the bottom of the ownership rather than like
The bottom of three
a
people.
hired hand that's sweeping up after the electricians kind of thing.
Awesome. So now what's your role in the company? Like going from the bottom, now you're here. Haha, thanks, Drake. Uh,
Yeah.
what does that mean for you? What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so as the company grew and we added more staff, I naturally took on kind of like a lead installation role. So I had a team of guys that I would go to site with and do the installs every day rather than before it was like install some days, manufacture some days, so on and so forth. And so my dad and my uncle kind of stayed back at the shop, took care of everything there. I was in the install field. Over the last year, I've been slowly transitioning to more of a like CEO running the company kind of role and just like realizing how important that is to getting to the next level because we can't just keep throwing untrained people at a problem.
Hmm.
Um, so it's been a bit of a difficult transition just because it's always so much easier just to be like, hey, just let me do it, right?
Mhm.
It's like I know the quicker way to do something, I know the proper way, and it's more efficient, right? But that doesn't scale. That's not how our company is going to grow. That's not how we're going to build the generational company and or wealth for our family.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. I think every entrepreneur ends up coming to realize is you can't do everything yourself and expect that the company is going to grow. You know, you end up being the roadblock to growth unless you can relinquish some of that and learn how to train other people to do your job. So when you made that
Hire people.
transition, yeah. So when you made that transition, what kind of learning lessons did you learn? What kind of challenges do you face, and what are you still facing right now as a challenge?
Um, I think the biggest challenge right now is just like I had a lot higher expectations of what I could accomplish in a day, and so
Hmm.
it's difficult trying to figure out what that expectation is for my team that's out there doing what I used to be doing with the team,
Mm,
right? Because I had all the background knowledge, I have the 10 years plus of experience that's helping me do this. Meanwhile, I have a team out there that's got like maybe 5 years of experience and they don't fully understand everything with the company.
Hmm.
And so
right.
it's unfair of me to expect them to do, say, exactly the same amount of work as I've done, but it's also not acceptable for them to do so little. So it's like, where is that line of what they should be accomplishing in a
Where's the
day?
sweet spot?
Yeah,
Getting
we can bring people in, train them
yeah,
relatively quickly. They don't need to be masters, but they can be really good
yeah,
in a short period of time. And what can they
Yeah.
achieve?
And you're working with a very expensive kitchen, so you don't want to just throw anybody at the jobs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
One
So
island panel gets messed up. No, there goes $1,000.
yeah,
And
yeah. So
so,
what's the long-term vision for your company? Like where are you trying to take it?
um, I'm trying to get to the point where I have all the systems built out that everyone kind of knows what they need to do. Everything is flowing smoothly, and we kind of have this instruction manual on how to run a cabinetry company. From there, I want to take that and open up another branch in Victoria, BC.
Hmm.
Uh, I have some family out there. The market is fantastic for the luxury kitchens and stuff like that. And yeah, so kind of the goal right now is how can I empower the people that are there to do their job exceptionally well and take ownership of the things that they need to and kind of just keep the company on the right trajectory when I'm not around.
Nice. Okay. So that's maybe a good segue into kind of what we were talking about before. Like you've got this company, you've managed to successfully start to scale it, you have plans to continue scaling it. What made you decide to kind of expand and diversify into real estate investing?
Yeah, so it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago I started doing research into real estate. I knew I wasn't going to become wealthy simply by running a construction company.
Hmm.
Uh, I also have some medical conditions that if they weren't covered by the Canadian government, they would be very expensive. And so that was also kind of a driver to like, I need to not be fully dependent on the government for my medication. Because if all of a sudden that went away, what would I do, right?
Hmm.
So that was kind of the like underlying driver of like, okay, I need to figure something out. So I did a bunch of real estate education. I did a couple of courses with Grant Cardone. He has kind of large multifamily stuff down in the US. Um, the concepts were great, but they were kind of geared towards the American market,
Yeah.
like 1049 exchanges and stuff like that. Um, so from there, I continued watching YouTube videos, trying to figure stuff out. And, in a Facebook group one day, I found, oh, I can't remember what his name was, but he told me about Wealth Genius. And so,
Luis.
no, it wasn't Luis. It was
Oh no.
the tech guy.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name? Anyways, so yeah, I got on board with Wealth Genius, which focuses on kind of value add multifamily real estate. Um, and shortly, I think it was in between my Grant Cardone and the Wealth Genius that I purchased my first rental property. So I bought a duplex in Winnipeg here, and so I self-managed that, which is a fantastic experience because I've learned a lot about rental tenancy laws, what to do, how to handle things, so on and so forth. But as my company has grown, I've kind of lost some of the ability to do that just because I don't have the time, right?
Hmm.
So when I bought the property, it was me, my dad, and my uncle, and we kind of did our thing, right? So 5 o'clock hits, we're kind of done for the day.
Hmm.
Now, 6 years later, 5 o'clock hits, and one of my guys is out sick, and we need to get something done to go out the door tomorrow. Like, I don't really have a choice. I got to get it done, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sure many business owners can relate to that.
Yeah. And you've kind of encompassed everyone's first foray into real estate. You buy that, single detached duplex, triplex that you think I'm going to self-manage. The value is going to appreciate. I'm going to get cash flow and it's going to be great. And then you find yourself in your spare time changing toilets, managing tenant disputes, dealing with bylaw officers, and realizing this is kind of like adding a part-time job to my already full-time schedule, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. So at what point, like, what were your original plans? Were you gonna do like a Burr method, pull out the equity, buy more rentals, or was this really just kind of an opportunity came to do this and you wanted to test the waters?
Yeah, so like this one was before I had gotten some of my real estate education that I have now. And like I don't regret buying it. I didn't lose money on it. Um, but knowing what I know now, I may not have purchased it, but at the same time, it was a very good learning experience and just kind of got me a lot more familiar with the real estate world.
Hmm.
Um, like for example, I purchased it on the basis that I was going to manage it myself, which then didn't leave a budget to add management later down the road if I had wanted to. Right?
Right.
So just things like that. And I bought it in a great market, so renting it out is relatively easy, but it still takes the time to go do showings and vet the people and make sure they're a good fit and so on and so forth. So
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the
yeah,
one of the biggest lessons I learned is how much a vacancy can impact your overall returns and cash flow. You
Yeah.
know, my first experience buying my first property and renting it out, oh, all the numbers look great. And then my tenant decides to leave. And now I've got to go through and clean the place up, get it, all ready, make sure everything's working, and then show the place. And that takes like a month. And that's a month lost in rent that comes directly out of my pocket. That
mhm.
was a big, oh, geez, I really need to be on the ball here with my turnovers. Otherwise, I'm losing a month of rent out of the year. And it's not just the rent, right? It's all your budget for expenses, maintenance, paying down your mortgage that gets factored into that. Now, that was an early lesson for me in my experience.
Yeah.
So this was a great learning experience for you. What are you investing in now?
Um, so I've done two real estate investments since. So I've partnered on a development project, and then I've also renovated the basement level of my house into a legal secondary suite. And so that one has had fantastic returns,
Hmm.
and it's just really nice to have. And I didn't need a house as big as I had. Um, and the development investment I did kind of it came about during that time when I was starting to realize I didn't necessarily have enough time to be adding more houses because like I had a duplex, I had people living in my basement, I was renting that out. Like it's not scalable unless I'm building a real estate company to just keep buying like multifamily real estate.
Hmm.
Right.
And then like through Wealth Genius, at one of their conferences, there was quite a few discussions about development and kind of how that all works, and that kind of opened my eyes into like what exactly like real estate development is, because before that it's like, oh yeah, the developer is just kind of building this thing, right? And I kind of got the like meat and potatoes of like, okay, so we're getting engineering and we're getting site plan approval and like all these different things that it takes to put development forward. And that kind of like started to help me understand like how the value is created rather than just like, oh, it just takes a lot of money,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. So what about development kind of drew you to that investment class? What was it that made you say, "Oh, I want to start investing passively in large development projects"?
Um, I think there's a couple things. Like part of it's just like it's it feels good to be part of something that is creating new opportunities and bigger opportunities than like say purchasing a duplex, renting it out, and then that's kind of it, right? Like because with development, you're aiding the economy, you're providing more housing for people, and it's good housing, right? Like it's not in the rough part of the city that you're kind of a little bit iffy while you're doing a walkthrough of a house, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's the top class, A class kind of asset. The new
right.
construction tends to be
And
around
you're
there.
and you're enabling it to be provided to more people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then there was also like this deal specifically, it's out of province for me, which was also a big jump. Like I've never been to the place yet. But just having a partner in the area that kind of knows what they're doing, and I was able to lever my financial situation and my funds to be able to help move this project forward.
Mm.
So, and it took some of my time because obviously there's paperwork and various other things, but at the same time, it's a lot different than getting a call from the police at 11:30 at night because your tenant's boyfriend is screaming at them. Like,
Yeah, you've got partners to handle that side of things, and instead of tenants, it's usually the the city and city officials screaming at you, saying,
yeah,
"Oh, we don't like this design. Here, redo it." Right?
yeah,
So
and
it's
it
that.
just the development process just kind of showed me how important it is to have a team rather than trying to do stuff on your own, because like there's still aspects of development that I don't fully understand, but
Mhm.
given that I have partners that know what's happening, that's okay.
So, what kind of risks did you consider before making this decision, uh, and what gave you that confidence to take the leap?
Um, well, like I had mentioned, I had learned a bunch about development in the Wealth Genius courses and conference. So like I did understand that there was a fair bit of risk associated with it. And so one of the key things that I looked at and made sure of was like, th while this is our plan for the property, what other options are there? Like what, like if this doesn't work, what are we going to do here? If that doesn't work, what are we going to do here? Just kind of like making sure that there's contingency plans in place so that if something doesn't work, it's not the sea of bread, I think they called it or something,
Hmm.
right? Like because there's lots of opportunity in development, but there's also lots of risk in development, right? Especially
Right.
on the front end of it,
Hmm.
because you're at
Definitely.
the mercy of city officials, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So finding a project and a team, and the team knows what they're doing, and the project has the capacity to have plan A, B, C, and D as a
Hmm.
way of hedging your risk on plan A not being feasible, plan B not being feasible, but plan C and D being a
Yeah,
backup option so you can get your money back and potentially maybe even earn a little bit of profit, right?
exactly.
Nice. So I guess What what would you say is like a good financial lesson? Like what kind of advice would you give to a fellow contractor thinking about getting into passive real estate investing?
Like I think I would say like definitely evaluate the deals, right? Make sure that it's an appropriate risk that you're willing to take. Um, and also like development doesn't happen quickly, right? Things move at the pace of the government and how how the officials are reading things and whatnot. So like things don't move quickly. So if you are considering investing in development, then that's one aspect of it. Um,
So have
I'd also
patience and
pardon?
have patience and trust the
Yeah,
process. Yeah.
exactly. And like I went into it, like this is my first development deal, and I went into it with the idea of like we will take this property somewhere and it will be amazing, right?
Hmm.
And there's been ups, there's been downs, and we're moving in the right direction, and we're set to make a lot of people a lot of money and also build a lot of homes for people, which is going to be incredible. And so, yeah, I think it's worth it. And like for me, it aligned with the values and the things that I care about. And so, yeah.
Amazing. And is there anything you would encourage someone in your shoes to start learning right away?
Um, I would say definitely learn about real estate. Like, I wouldn't just blindly tell a friend of mine, like, hey, you should go invest in development real estate. But at the same time, I would say do some research. There's lots of ways you can learn about it. There's paid courses, there's free stuff on YouTube. Like you could watch the developers playbook here that Marco and Sam hosts. Like there's so much information out there. Like use it and figure out if it's a good fit for you.
That's great advice and probably a great way to end things. Let me ask you if people want to get in touch with you, where would you like to send them?
Yeah, you can feel free to shoot me an email. Gavin, Gavin at kroekercabinets.ca. Kroeker cabinets.ca. You can find me on Instagram as well if you'd like. Gav Kroeker, I think is my handle. So yeah.
We'll have it.
Check in the description of the video.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll open it up if there's any questions for Gavin or the Biosis team, just take yourself off mute and throw them our way. In the meantime, I think we're going to wrap this up. Let everybody get back to their evening. Marco, is there anything you want to say to sign off?
No, I'm super happy to have you on Gavin, and thank you, Sam, for leading this conversation with him. If there's one thing I would ask Gavin is what are his three biggest takeaways joining a development project as an investor, and would he recommend real estate development as a way for other contractors to diverse their portfolio?
Hmm. I would say what like the first thing is that I love the team that I work with, and I think that's one of the critical pieces to a successful development. Two, it's it's uh it's great to have my money invested and working for me, and I don't have to be there physically taking care of things. Like things do come up, but being out of country, it's kind of that, or out of province, sorry, it's kind of that like barrier where I can't do the instinct that I want to do, which is just like run over there and fix it kind of thing. And so having partners that can do that allows me to spend more time on my company and making sure things are going in the right direction. And three, I think it just like do your market research and make sure you're getting a property in a good location because you can't put lipstick on a pig. So,
That's
and
true.
what did you want me to end with there, Marco?
And would you recommend real estate development or just real estate overall as a way for other contractors to
100%
invest in?
real
Yeah,
estate. I think you need to do your due diligence and research what is the best model for you because some models work better for some people than for other people. But hands down, real estate has been a game changer for me. So
awesome.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much for your time, Gavin. Really appreciate you being on the show, and yeah, looking forward to more conversations in the future.
sounds
Um,
great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. So with that, just last piece of wisdom for everyone who's listening. You know, many business owners they don't think about diversification until they're preparing to slow down, and you know by that point they've missed out on years of potential wealth building. Gavin here is a prime example of getting started young, making sure that his cash flow is being diversified and working for him. And you know that's come from some need, right? You got to get off the government dependence, especially if you've got medical needs. You want to scale and diversify so you have multiple streams of income. Like these are the wealth building tactics that a lot more people need to learn about, and they often don't teach you in school. So if today's conversation sparked questions about whether this strategy could be a fit for you and in your long-term planning, you know, reach out to us, reach out to the Biosis team, and you know we've got some pretty interesting passive opportunities that we would love to share and partner up with you on. So you know, I think that's a great place to stop. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time, and have a great night and a nice weekend coming up.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care.